Level 1. Borrowed Power, Rogue's Temporary Touch Absorption. Rogue from the X-Men represents the foundation of power theft in comics, temporary absorption that fades after brief contact. When she touches someone skin to skin, she steals their memories, skills, personality, and powers for a limited duration, usually minutes to hours depending on contact length. A quick brush against Spider-Man gives her wall crawling and spider sense temporarily, while prolonged contact with Ms. Marvel accidentally trapped Carol Danvers' psyche in her mind for years. But even that eventually faded as Rogue learned control. The key characteristic of Level 1 is reversibility. Victims recover their abilities once the theft period ends, making this the least permanent and most balanced form of power stealing. Rogue can't choose what she takes or control the duration precisely, and the absorption works both ways, meaning she experiences the victim's memories and emotions, which can be psychologically devastating when she absorbs someone with trauma or dark history. She's touched Magneto and felt decades of Holocaust survival, touched Mystique and experienced centuries of deception and murder, touched Wolverine and felt the animal rage lurking under his controlled surface. Every power she borrows comes with psychological baggage that pollutes her own mind, creating a built-in limitation where overuse fractures her sense of self. What makes Level 1 dangerous, despite its temporary nature, is the unpredictability and risk to both parties. Rogue put Cody in a coma with her first kiss, nearly killed Carol Danvers during their fight, and has accidentally absorbed teammates during emotional moments when her control slipped. The power is always active, meaning she can never turn it off, never experience normal human touch without risking harm, making her one of the most isolated characters in Marvel, despite being surrounded by people. Level 1 power theft is characterized by brief duration, physical contact requirements, bi-directional risk, and psychological contamination that makes frequent use dangerous to the thief's mental stability. It's street-to-low superhuman tier, limited by time and control issues, but devastating in the moment when she can temporarily wield someone else's abilities against them. By the way, if you like content analyzing comic book power systems and different topics, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thank you very much. Level 2. Skill and Ability Theft. Taskmaster's Photographic Reflexes. Taskmaster doesn't steal superpowers, he steals something arguably more valuable, a lifetime of training, muscle memory, and combat mastery that makes heroes effective fighters. His photographic reflexes allow him to perfectly replicate any physical movement he observes even once, which means watching Captain America throw his shield gives Taskmaster the same throwing technique. Watching Daredevil fight gives him the same combat style. Watching Hawkeye shoot gives him the same archery precision. He's absorbed the fighting techniques of virtually every major hero and villain in the Marvel Universe, creating a combat database in his brain that makes him one of the most dangerous hand-to-hand fighters on Earth, despite being baseline human with no enhanced strength, speed, or durability. What elevates this to Level 2 is that skill theft is permanent and cumulative. Once Taskmaster learns a technique, it stays in his muscle memory forever, allowing him to build an ever-expanding arsenal of stolen expertise. He can switch between fighting styles mid-combat, using Captain America's defensive tactics, then shifting to Spider-Man's acrobatics, then adopting Wolverine's aggressive berserker style, creating unpredictable combinations that even the original users can't anticipate because they've never fought against their own techniques mixed with others. The limitation is that he can only copy what a human body can physically perform, so when he mimics Spider-Man's wall-crawling movements, he understands the technique but lacks the adhesive fingers to execute it, and when he copies Hulk's fighting style, he has the form but not the strength to make it effective. This creates a ceiling where Taskmaster is incredibly deadly against street-level heroes and skilled fighters, but struggles against raw power or abilities that can't be replicated through technique alone. The hidden cost is brutal and often overlooked by fans. His brain has finite storage capacity, and every new skill he copies overwrites personal memories. He's forgotten his own childhood, his real name, his family, and most of his pre-Taskmaster identity, because his photographic reflexes treat personal memories and combat data as the same type of information competing for the same mental space. He knows he had a wife named Mercedes, but can't remember her face clearly. Knows he had a life before becoming a mercenary, but the specifics are gone, replaced by the knowledge of how Black Panther blocks punches and how Iron Fist channels Chai. Taskmaster is a walking library of stolen skills who's lost himself in the process of becoming everyone else, powerful through accumulated expertise but hollow because the price of that power was his own identity and history. Level 3. Power Drain. Parasite's Sustained Energy Absorption. Parasite from DC Comics represents the escalation from temporary borrowing to sustained draining that leaves victims weakened or dying while the thief grows exponentially stronger. When Rudy Jones touches a superhuman, he doesn't just copy their power. He drains it directly from their body like siphoning fuel from a tank, and the drain continues as long as he maintains contact. Touching Superman doesn't give Parasite a copy of Kryptonian abilities. It literally pulls the solar energy out of Superman's cells and transfers it into Parasite's body, weakening the Man of Steel while empowering Parasite with flight, strength, invulnerability, heat vision, and all of Superman's abilities at comparable levels. The longer the contact, the more complete the drain, and if Parasite holds on long enough, he can reduce Superman to powerless unconsciousness while wielding the full might of a Kryptonian. What makes this level 3 is the sustained nature and weakening effect. Victims aren't just temporarily copied. They're actively depowered as their energy is stolen, creating a zero-sum exchange where one party grows stronger as the other grows weaker. Parasite has drained entire teams of heroes simultaneously, touching multiple Justice League members and absorbing all their powers at once, becoming a composite threat wielding Flash's speed, Wonder Woman's strength, Martian Manhunter's telepathy, and Green Lantern's constructs in combination. The absorption is additive, meaning each new victim makes him geometrically more powerful rather than just adding another ability to the roster. When he's drained multiple heavy hitters, he becomes nearly unstoppable because he's not just using their powers individually but can combine them in ways the originals never could, using super speed to enhance already superhuman strength, using telepathy to predict opponents while invisible, layering defensive powers to create impenetrable defenses. The limitation is duration. Parasite's stolen powers fade over time as his body metabolizes the absorbed energy, forcing him to continuously hunt new victims to maintain his power levels. He's essentially an addict who needs constant superhuman contact to stay empowered, and withdrawal leaves him as a baseline human with purple skin and an uncontrollable hunger for meta-human energy. This creates a predator-prey dynamic where Parasite is always hunting, always draining, always leaving victims weakened or dead in his wake, making him one of the most viscerally threatening power thieves because his very touch is lethal and his hunger is never satisfied. Level 4. Power negation and redirection. Leech and Scrambler's nullification. Leech is a mutant whose power is complete negation of all superhuman abilities within his proximity, essentially creating a dead zone where powers simply stop functioning. He doesn't steal powers in the traditional sense, he suppresses them, but the effect is functionally identical to theft because anyone near Leech becomes powerless. His ability is always active and operates in a radius around him, meaning mutants, inhumans, and enhanced humans lose access to their abilities the moment they enter his range. Wolverine's healing factor stops working, Magneto can't manipulate metal, and Storm can't control weather, all reduced to baseline human capabilities until they move out of Leech's sphere of influence. What makes this level 4 is the absolute nature of the negation and the fact that it's involuntary. Leech has no control over his power, which makes him both incredibly dangerous and tragically isolated. The Morlocks protected him because his ability made him valuable for defending against superhuman threats, but it also meant he could never be touched by most mutants without suppressing their powers, creating another form of the isolation that defines Rogue's existence. Scrambler, another Morlock, has a similar but more violent version of this power. His touch disrupts the bioelectric fields of other beings, temporarily scrambling their access to superhuman abilities while causing intense pain. Where Leech passively nullifies, Scrambler actively disrupts, and the disruption can cause permanent damage if maintained long enough. Together, they represent power theft through negation, not taking abilities for themselves but removing them from others, which in combat is often more effective than absorption because it leaves opponents defenseless rather than making the thief stronger. The strategic implication is significant because power negation doesn't require the user to be enhanced to be effective. A baseline human with Leech's ability can neutralize Superman just as easily as they can neutralize a street-level hero, making it a great equalizer that's limited only by range and duration. Level 5. Mass Power Absorption. Amazo's Instant Replication. Amazo is an android created by Professor Ivo with one function: analyze and replicate the powers of any metahuman he encounters. And unlike previous levels that require contact or time, Amazo's theft is instantaneous and works on everyone in his proximity simultaneously. When Amazo fights the Justice League, he doesn't copy them one at a time. He scans all of them at once and immediately gains Superman's Kryptonian physiology, Wonder Woman's combat skills and divine weapons, Flash's Speed Force connection, Green Lantern's willpower constructs, Aquaman's Atlantean abilities, Martian Manhunter's telepathy and shapeshifting, all wielded in perfect combination by a machine intelligence that doesn't tire, doesn't hesitate, and doesn't have the moral limitations of the heroes he's copied. What elevates this to level 5 is the scaling factor. Amazo becomes exponentially more dangerous based on the number and quality of opponents he faces, meaning sending more heroes to stop him just makes him stronger. Fight him solo and he copies one power set, send the entire Justice League and he becomes a composite entity wielding all their abilities simultaneously with computational precision that no biological being could match. His android nature means he can use stolen powers without the limitations that restrict organic users. He can channel Superman's strength without worrying about collateral damage, use Flash's speed without needing to eat constantly, employ employ Wonder Woman's combat techniques with machine-perfect execution, creating a version of each hero that's technically superior because he's removed the human weaknesses. Amazo has defeated the Justice League multiple times by simply being a better version of all of them combined, and his instant replication means there's no warning, no time to strategize, no opportunity to prevent the theft. He scans and copies faster than most heroes can react. Later versions of Amazo evolved beyond simple copying to power synthesis, combining stolen abilities in ways that create entirely new effects, using Speed Force energy to charge Kryptonian heat vision, merging Atlantean water manipulation with Green Lantern constructs, creating hybrid powers that didn't exist until he invented them. Level 5 mass absorption represents the point where power theft stops being a gimmick and becomes an existential threat. Because a being that can instantly copy and combine everyone's powers in a fight becomes effectively unbeatable through conventional means. Level 6. Cosmic power theft, Galactus and fundamental force. Siphoning. Galactus doesn't steal individual powers from heroes or villains. He drains entire planets of their fundamental life energy, consuming the biosphere and converting it into cosmic power that sustains his existence as a universal constant. When Galactus devours a world, he's not just eating the inhabitants, he's absorbing the planet's position in the cosmic order, stealing its potential futures, erasing the civilization's contributions to universal evolution, making him a thief of cosmic scale importance rather than personal abilities. What makes this level 6 is the target scope. He's stealing from gods, abstract entities, and cosmic forces rather than street-level or even superhuman beings. When he fought the Mad Celestials, beings who judge entire galaxies, Galactus didn't just fight them, he consumed them, adding their cosmic judgment authority to his own power base. The Infinity Gauntlet storyline showed Galactus attempting to absorb Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet power, suggesting he can steal even conceptual authorities like time, space, reality, mind, soul, and power, if given the opportunity. What distinguishes cosmic theft from previous levels is that victims aren't individuals who can potentially recover. They're fundamental aspects of reality that, once stolen, leave permanent holes in the universe's function. When Galactus drains a planet, that world's unique evolutionary path is erased forever. The species that would have evolved there, the technologies they would have developed, the cosmic role they would have played, all stolen and converted into fuel for his survival. He's been called the universe's immune system, destroying civilizations before they can threaten cosmic balance. But from another perspective, he's the ultimate power thief, operating at a scale where his hunger threatens reality's stability. The limitation is that Galactus must feed regularly, or he weakens, meaning cosmic-scale power theft comes with cosmic-scale hunger, an endless need that can never be permanently satisfied. He's been empowered to the point of threatening abstract entities like eternity and death, and been weakened to near-death starvation, showing that even cosmic power theft has a cost. The thief becomes dependent on an ever-escalating need for more, turning godlike beings into addicts who must constantly steal to survive. Level 7. Existential power theft, the Beyonder and reality manipulation. The Beyonder represents the apex of power theft, the ability to steal not from individuals or planets, or even cosmic entities, but from reality itself, taking the fundamental laws that govern existence and rewriting them to fuel personal power. The Beyonder is a being from beyond the multiverse who entered Marvel's reality and immediately began absorbing everything, not just energy or abilities, but concepts, possibilities, and the underlying structure of causality itself. He didn't need to touch someone to steal their power. He could simply decide that their power now belonged to him and reality would restructure to make it true. When he fought the combined forces of Earth's heroes and villains, he didn't drain them individually. He absorbed the concept of their opposition and made it part of himself, growing stronger from the fact that anyone dared to resist him. What makes this level 7 existential rather than merely cosmic is that the Beyonder's theft operates on a level where the distinction between thief and victim breaks down. He doesn't steal power from reality. He steals the rules that determine what power means, making him both the thief and the prize simultaneously. He's taken energy from the living tribunal, the embodiment of multiversal law, stolen potential timelines from eternity, absorbed the space between dimensions from infinity, and consumed the conceptual weight of death's role in the cycle of existence. Each theft doesn't just make him stronger, it makes a reality weaker and less stable because he's removing the fundamental structures that hold existence together. The Secret Wars event showed the Beyonder creating an entire planet from nothing and populating it with heroes and villains as an experiment, demonstrating that his power theft had reached the point where he could create realities as easily as normal beings create thoughts. Darkseid's Omega effect operates on similar principles, stealing not just life but the concept of existence itself from targets, erasing them from all timelines and possibilities retroactively so they never were, making it theft of such fundamental totality that victims are deleted from reality's memory. What characterizes level 7 is the absence of limits. These beings aren't stealing powers within a system, they're stealing the system itself, taking the underlying code of reality and rewriting it to serve their will, and the only thing that can stop them is other beings operating at the same existential level or self-imposed limitations, because even they recognize that stealing everything would leave nothing, including themselves. In conclusion, the 7 levels of power theft in comics escalate from temporary borrowing to existential violation of reality itself. Power theft isn't just about gaining abilities. It's about what you're willing to take and what that theft does to both you and your victims. Now to you, which level of power theft is the most terrifying? And at what level does power theft cross the line from ability to atrocity? Comment down below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this.